Hi, I'm Sian Benz and welcome to The Naked Word, a show for the everyday woman where our story is your story. Today, we're talking money. Are women really that bad with money? I've certainly thought that about myself on more than one occasion. Now, there's no denying that the stereotype exists. From TV and film to media, women seem to have a recurring theme that we just don't know how to manage it. Well, today we bust that myth and we talk about simple things that every woman can do to empower her money mindset. Joining me, Deanna, Soraya, and Natalie. Hey girls!
Hey! How are you going?
So who's excited to talk about money?
Me. Never.
Not me. Not me. Money makes me anxious. Money makes me nervous. Dee, why do you love talking about money?
Because I got over my money stuff.
Yeah.
I literally was the person that you were talking about, the idea of a woman who's terrible with money.
Yes.
For my teenage years, for my young adult years, all through my 20s, all through my 30s, I believed that I was terrible with money, that I literally had holes in my pockets.
Yeah.
That was how I saw myself, that money came to me and then it just leaked out of my pockets and it all disappeared and I never ever had it.
Yeah.
You know? And I made some really, really big changes in my late 30s after I left my first marriage.
Yes.
And I have really, it's taken me like eight, 9 years, but I've really turned around my idea with money, how I feel about money, how I engage with money. And it's turned from something that caused me a huge amount of stress, like enormous. I didn't even want to talk about it. It made me feel physically sick and closed down my throat and made me want to cry. And every time money came up, I'd like get all like super teary and like disgusting.
Yes.
And now I love it.
Well,
I'm excited.
Well, talk to us about the beginning, just the beginning part of that, where you were saying, you know, you didn't really have much exposure to it in your first marriage.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I just gave over all the responsibility to my husband. I was like, yay, I don't have to think about it. I'm shit with money. He can take care of it.
Yeah.
You know, like that literally is what I did. And I just stopped paying attention to it. The really ironic thing is I was a really good earner.
Yes.
I had my own photography business.
Yes.
I'm a voiceover artist and an actor. And that has been a really continuous source of good income for like almost my whole life, pretty much, you know, working life. So I was generating plenty of money, but I had no idea what that money meant in the real world.
Yeah.
None whatsoever, because it just all went over there.
Yes.
And
Someone else managed it.
Someone else managed it. My husband managed all of the money. And so when I came out of that marriage, I had no idea.
What was that like?
Oh, it was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
Because you were a single mum as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So and this is the part of that I really relate to.
I was so scared. I think I spent 2 years more scared than I've ever been in my entire life. I would have nightmares about money and about drowning and about like not being able to do the things that were important, like take care of my kids and pay rent, and like I had no idea how everything worked. So it felt like this massive unknown black hole kind of space. And all of a sudden I was in this place where I had to make sure that what came in covered all of the things, and I didn't know how.
All of a sudden you're having to look, I imagine, having to look you know, in your bank account and go, right, this is X amount of dollars coming in every week.
Yep.
Now you've got to sit down and actually tally up what a budget looks like for you.
That was really weird, actually, like going through the process of actually looking at the money.
Yeah.
Like looking at it.
Yeah.
Building a spreadsheet, putting the numbers into it, looking at my bank accounts, confronting what's there and what does that mean and how does it work. Just doing that was terrifying because it really made me anxious and distressed to even think about managing it, because I told myself for such a long time that I couldn't.
Yeah.
So my whole experience of me and money was that I couldn't.
Yes.
So getting past that was the first thing, and it was really, really, really hard.
Amazing.
I just had to like head down, bum up, push through.
Hold that thought. Soraya, what's your philosophy when it comes to money management?
Money management. So when it comes to money management, I can budget really well. I'm quite frugal when needed, you know, because of my 12 years of being a single parent, so I can really stretch a dollar.
Yes.
Yeah, so managing money for me through time has gotten a lot better.
So who manages the money in your relationship?
I think it's equal share, where my husband makes it, I manage it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever considered like some of the cultural stuff around Muslim women who similar to Deanna, hand that responsibility over to their husband? Is that something that you saw and then actively just went, no, actually, I want to be an active participant in this?
It's never really been a handing over of any responsibility. It's always been a responsibility of the man to bring home the money.
Yeah.
So steeped in Islamic faith, the man is the provider. Whilst woman and man are equal,
Yeah.
the roles are very different.
Yeah, right.
And so our roles, just because we're equal doesn't mean that we're the same. So what happens is my husband would go out and make money,
Yes.
and I would do what I need to do with it, with the food and the kids and the
Yes.
schooling and all the rest of it.
Yes.
And that's just how it worked.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Nat, what's your philosophy when it comes to money?
I've always been able to make money. That's not a problem. I am very resourceful,
Yes.
and I've always done exactly what I need to do to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's never been a problem. It's keeping it.
Yes.
Keeping it is the problem. It's like Dee said, I've got the drain pipe open.
Yes.
And I always pay for everything. I'm always so proud of myself.
You
paid all my
actually are.
bills.
You actually are. The times when we've gone out, dinners and all that sort of stuff, I've seen how generous you are. And I've really admired that about you. But what's really interesting is that, and you shared this, right? Is that you've reached a point in your money journey where you've transitioned from one career to another and things have changed.
Oh, this has been such a difficult time. And you girls have been there through this with me, and you've seen what's happened. I gave up a primary source of income to try something new.
That you love.
Yeah.
That I love, and there's just not the same money in it. And I've had to then go, oh, hang on a minute, I can't have the same appointments that I have. I had to go through and cancel credit cards so I knew what was coming out, because I had no idea.
Yeah.
And
wow.
it was such a emotional process, because I always attach my self-esteem to my money.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden I didn't have any. And for the first time in my life, I had to say, oh, look, I can't make dinner with you girls tonight.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, why? I go, oh, I'm busy.
Oh no, the shame.
The shame that I felt
Yeah.
has been horrendous. But what I've learned through you girls and through the friendships that I have, that I've had for 30 years, is that I have never asked for help.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about asking for money. I mean, I'm talking about asking for emotional help.
Yes.
And as soon as I did that, all of a sudden, the burdens that I felt inside were shared, and all of a sudden, incredible things that don't necessarily equate to money, but equate to abundance and support, just made me feel worthy again.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, so it's been really tricky, because I'm not that same person, and I don't want for those things either. I've changed.
Yes.
I'm older. I don't want that anymore. I want the new Nat, which is really the real Nat.
Which means new skills, which means new mindset, new path forward. Do you relate much, Soraya, to what Natalie was saying before about the shame in not having? Because you were a single mum for a really long time, and that was so, so difficult.
Absolutely. So like Deanna was sharing, when she was married, my husband would handle all the money. And then when I got divorced, I didn't have so much anxiety and fear. I was just like, oh, this is really hard.
Yes.
Because I have to do both.
Yes.
So the single motherhood, it was really a challenge in going, can I really nurture and protect and look after my children the way I used to whilst working?
Yes.
And so there was always guilt for me. I always experienced that I wasn't doing enough in work because I wasn't putting my all in, and I had so much ambition and potential in my work. Then there was also the kids. And finding a balance in that was really difficult. Yeah. So then the children would always win, right?
Yeah.
So I always tried to work around the children.
Yes.
So then that always stopped, certain promotions or certain job opportunities. Like I had a job where they were like, okay, we want you to be in a certain position and fly around the world and do what you love. And it was my perfect job.
Yes.
And I've got 2 little kids and I'm a single parent.
Yeah.
So I went off and I did something else.
Yes.
And it was really humbling, but my priority were my children. And I remember being flat out from paycheck to paycheck.
That is something that I think every mother in particular feels. It's that toss-up with your career. Like, you could have the money, but we all know, every woman knows that the price you pay is the time with your children.
Yeah, it's really full on.
Yeah.
As I started to build up my financial independence, as I built up my knowledge of how to manage money and learn a whole bunch of new skills, which was fantastic and scary but really good. And then as I started to build on that and start to increase my income and like get myself into a better financial position and build that independence, one of the things that started happening as my kids started coming to me and saying, "Why are you working so much? You're not available for us." Now, I share custody of my kids with my ex-husband, right? And he has them for 1 week, I have them for the next week.
Yes.
So the weeks that I have the kids, if I'm working a lot, they complain like loudly. They really, really want me to be available to them when they're home from school.
Yes.
And that's been like super challenging.
Yes.
Really, really hard. And it's been a real battle for me. I'm really like pulled towards doing the work that I do because I just love it so much. And I'm so excited by it. And my brain is busy in it all the time because it's new and I like it, I'm building. And so I'm constantly kind of thinking about it.
Yeah.
And also, I'm being pulled towards my kids as well.
So how do you balance it? That is the question. How do you balance it?
So when the children were younger, looking back now, when the children were younger, I felt immense shame in going, okay, if I am putting my children first, I can't provide them the life that they deserve, and I don't want to let them to feel like they have less than others.
Yes.
And so I felt immense guilt and shame from that, and I thought, you know, I want to, if I spend more time with them, then I'm not doing enough financially. If I was doing more financially, I wasn't spending enough time with them.
I know
so
that
it was a
feeling.
constant feeling of trying to strike a balance.
Being on a seesaw, isn't it? You're like, well, this one, then this
and
one,
that's
then this
why after I got married, it just balanced out.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling of having to be both. I suppose when the kids are older, it's a lot, there's less pressure. But when they're young, you know, between the ages of newborn to about 14, you know, they really need you. Looking back now, I wish that I didn't try and pursue so much financially of 2 or 3 jobs at one time to give them the best shoes or whatever it was. I really look back and think I wish I just gave them the time. You know, because that's what they wanted. Yeah.
And I've spoken to your daughter actually about that, and she agrees. She agrees. I mean, she's what, 14 now?
She's 16.
16.
Yeah.
Some auntie I am.
Time flies.
But she said, I just wish that Mum had spent more time with me. But I think every child would say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every child would say that, regardless. We could give them all the time in the world, and they would still say
still
that.
want more time
probably.
because that's what they want from us, right?
Yes.
They want our attention. They want our focus.
Yes.
They want our presence. And
Yes.
I mean, I basically have just decided that when I have the kids, I don't work outside of school hours.
See, that is gold.
I don't either. I never have.
When I was trying to figure out, I'm quite career-driven myself. So how do I strike a balance between even in building this show, being there for my family and for my friends and having a social life and everything with my career, making money. How do I do that? Well, first of all, I have to be very organized. You cannot do anything. You cannot look at money. You can't look at any area of your life unless you are organized. That means, like for me, when I sit down with my finances I do it at the beginning of every month. I like to do it in a cycle. So on the 1st of every month, I'll lay down all of the bills that I expect. So I've built a list of bills I know will come in that month.
That's so organised.
So I will lay it out because for me, I have to see it.
Yeah, right.
I can't just talk about it with my husband and then that will be enough. It's not. So I have to see it with my own eyes, and then I have to organize them into piles per week.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I can obviously anticipate the income from week to week. So then I can organize and pay my bills into savings for the kids, for fuel, this, that, and the other.
Wow. I do so different.
That's what's worked for me.
Yeah,
that's so interesting. That's
but
really
it's only
cool.
because I figured out I need to be organized about this.
Yeah.
Became a single mum like you.
Yeah.
And had no idea. I also had a husband and I had a partner and we managed things together. Then I found myself alone. I have to manage it all. And it is overwhelming.
Yeah, it is.
It is overwhelming.
Yeah.
If anyone's ever been in that position where you have the sole responsibility of keeping the lights on for the little people in the house, it is a weight that I cannot describe.
Absolutely.
In the 2 years after my marriage ended and I was finding my feet,
Yeah.
I was more stressed than I've ever been in my entire life. And for the first time in my life, I couldn't eat.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't eat.
Yes.
I'd put food in my mouth, I'd chew, I'd go to swallow, and it would
Yes.
get stuck in my throat. And I'd try and swallow it, and I'd feel this lump of food like try and work its way down into my stomach.
Yeah.
And it was so painful, like physically painful and emotionally painful. My
Yes.
body just went, no.
Yes.
And it like closed up. It
Yes.
was ridiculous.
Yes.
I lost so much weight. I'd go and drop the kids off at school and my friends would be like, you look smaller than you did 2 weeks ago. What's going on?
Yeah.
And never before in my entire life have I been so stressed that I can't eat. I have a very healthy appetite.
Yeah.
You know, like I eat
Yes.
really, really well. I exercise a lot. I need a lot of sustenance, and I just couldn't eat. Couldn't eat. I'd never experienced that kind of stress before.
Money stress.
I just never want to go back there again.
Yes.
You know, so for me now, what it is make sure I've got enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course I bump up against what is enough.
Yes.
Because it never feels like enough.
Yeah, and that's a trap too.
Yeah.
It's also going from being a single mum and now being married and having more money than I did before when I was single, and then sort of having the same pattern with money
Yes.
in your marriage.
Everybody's got
and
a
I
money
was like,
pattern.
Yes.
okay, so if I don't have a goal, the same thing's going to happen,
Yeah.
just on a higher level.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I really need to look at this and go, obviously, what are my expenses?
Yes.
But those expenses can just be on a higher level.
Yes.
And so I looked at it and I went, okay, I really need to compartmentalize here and put
What do you
some
mean by
money away.
compartmentalised?
So compartmentalize meaning put certain amounts of money into different accounts
Like buckets.
for different things.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I organised different accounts for, you know, different types
There's that
of...
organised word again.
Yeah, for
I did that too.
My
different
favourite.
goals.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I did.
Yeah.
The way I learnt how to do it was like, here's a container for this money, for
Yes.
your savings, and this is for your
Yes.
tax, and
Yes.
this is for your emergencies, and this is for just your everyday spending.
Yes.
And I was religious about
Yeah.
putting money into those
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
places. Like
Yes.
every time money came into my bank account, whether it was $1 or $1,000, I portioned it out
Yeah.
Yes.
into those buckets
That's
of
super
money.
organised.
So I had to. It's what gave me oversight and gave me comfort,
Yeah.
like you do with your bills
Yeah.
every month. You know?
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
me feel safe.
Yeah.
When I can see everything that's going
Yeah.
on, it makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
When I've got my head under the covers and I don't want to look at the bills or whatever, I feel petrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lights,
And
the
I'm constantly anxious.
The lights go off. The lights, electricity gets cut out.
But you don't notice because you're under your doom.
So, where would you start? If your head is under the covers and you watch this episode and you are inspired to do something around your money, what would be your first step?
Well, I got a book, and it's a really well-known book.
Yeah.
It's called The Barefoot Investor.
Brilliant.
And lots of people like it, lots of people don't like it. There's all sorts of different opinions out there, but it literally saved me.
Yes.
It was the thing that gave me structure. I was so scared that I was paralysed. I couldn't do anything. I was just like, And someone said, read this book. And I read it, and it was so simple. And I just took the bits out of it that fitted what I needed and my personality and how I engage with the world and stuff. And I implemented it. And it's really interesting because I don't still follow the exact same structure, but that structure got me through those first few years and taught me what I needed to know and gave me that like safety net of here's some structure, you can live inside this structure and everything will be fine if you just do it.
Yes.
So I just did it until I got confident enough to start making my own decisions about what those containers look like and where they went and that kind of thing.
Yes.
So that's my advice, right? Like go talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, who is doing the kinds of things that you want to be doing and ask them how, or get the book.
Yes. What's the first step you take?
For myself, I would say my experience is look at your relationship with money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
your beliefs around money. For a long time, I had a real sense of lack that there
So you
wasn't
mean like,
enough.
what do you believe money is?
Yeah. So what do I believe money is?
And what do you think about money?
Yeah, I had a real sense of, lack in regards to whatever I have, you've got to hold and you've got to be frugal. There was no real sense of there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it only went to certain people.
Okay.
So there was really a relationship towards money itself.
So really look at what your relationship is to money.
The way you think about money, your beliefs about money, you know, things like,
How you
and I
act
used to
with money.
believe,
Yes.
we were brought up with like, oh, they've got lots of money because they must have done bad things to people, or they were unethical. To get to the top, you have to be a certain way.
Yes.
Those kind of things transferred into me, thinking, okay, if you've got lots of money, then you must have been some sort of capitalist off someone else's backs.
Isn't that funny?
So for me, it was really going, okay, you can still make a lot of money ethically.
Yeah.
You know, it was just having to look at that relationship with money.
What I would say would be the first step from my experience is to recognize that money is a journey. Money is a journey, like everything. And that you're not going to know everything right out the gate.
Totally.
Be prepared to learn.
Yes.
And be prepared to fall down.
Yeah.
Even when you think you've learned something and it's time to implement it now.
Yeah.
And you stuff it up.
Yeah.
Which happens.
It's okay.
It totally happens.
It's okay. The amount of times I've done that, I'm not even ashamed of it.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I embrace it. If I come back from the shops with the new dress and the hubby's like, oh, was that in the budget? Oops.
Yeah.
Nah.
Well, I feel like it's never been an issue, and all of a sudden now it is.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm sitting here listening to you all, and I've read the book. Yeah. And I've worked on my relationship with money. Yeah. You know, but what I feel at the moment is happening for me is that I'm just becoming humble and finding true humility in and gratitude in what I used to have. So now I think being appreciative of money.
Yes.
This is huge for me. It's like, oh my gosh, I got a paycheck today. I am so grateful. The lack of expectation is gone.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I am so grateful, and I'm so grateful I can buy fruit and veg. I'm so grateful I can pay my bills, and I'm so grateful I have friends that will take me out for dinner when I go, oh, I can't make it, and they read through my read through my message and go, I'm taking you out, and I go, great, because I used to do that to everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm finally receiving.
I love that. I love that.
read
Read, educate yourself, start to learn. It's a journey. It absolutely is. Practice gratitude and just be open. Be open to learning what money means to you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. Thank you. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.